Let's do it.
We are live and recording. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start it up here.
Let's do it on three. 1, 2, 3. One half a step too late or too early, you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. On this team, we fight for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch. Because we know that's the difference between winning and losing.
Mean in the green. It's right here for you.
That's football, guys.
Go Mean Green.
Welcome to the GoMeanGreen.com Barbershop Podcast, dedicated to students, alumni, and fans that truly bleed green.
Don't give them room to breathe.
Follow us on Twitter at GoMeanGreen and visit our website, GoMeanGreen.com.
Love that. Gotta love it, baby. Here we go.
Now, your hosts of the GoMeanGreen.com Barbershop Podcast, Evan, Harry, and Ashton.
So why to hit it? Let's go.
Hey, hello and welcome to the 203rd edition of the GoMeanGreen.com Barbershop Podcast. This is Evan,
This is Harry.
This is Ashton.
and we are here to talk North Texas football. I just realized that I have an icon over Ashton's face right now because,
That's why I can't see me. Not cool.
yeah, sorry about that. No, I'm moving it down. Sorry, I had it when there was four of us. It was right in the middle. It was perfect, but it's not. All right, guys, we just finished week 1 of the season. I think everybody has to be pleased with the results. I think some people, if I hear any moans, it was all about maybe kind of the defense. Everybody got a little too lax, but we couldn't have come out stronger and better across the board. I thought it was a great start to the season. I'll tell you, and you guys can get into it, but just the overall feel. 30 minutes before kickoff, I was in my seat, and pretty much the entire student side at the bottom, but before you get to that top level, was full. I mean, 30 minutes before it started, most of the students were already in seats. I don't think I've ever seen that. And they just kept coming in, and having to move up and then come to the other side because it was so blasted hot. But that feeling when it started and they came out and they announced Mason Fine, the team runs out, it was pretty awesome. The new intro, I'm gonna let Ashton talk about that, but that new intro was pretty amazing.
Yeah, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. I've got a lot of really good feedback. Credit to North Texas for wanting to go a little bit bigger, and having a. I just got a text from Harry. It says okay. All right, cool. They had an idea that they wanted to do. They got this whole Unite initiative. They brought me in and let me have some creative freedom, as well as adhering to what they wanted to do. When they told me that they wanted me to do it, or they asked me if I would be interested in doing it, I jumped at it because how often do you get to do your alma mater's intro? I guess that's going to be seen like every single home game, and I thought it turned out really well. I mean, I will say that I was pretty proud of it. There's a couple things that I think you can always tweak about work that you do that in the creative world, but this one I really liked. There's a couple things I would tweak, but I really dug it, and I've got a lot of really good feedback. Ren was super happy with it, super appreciative of it. The whole department, once I sent them the final, was pretty stoked. I got to do the VO, which was kind of cool to do the VO. Hope it doesn't piss anybody off, but it was fun. It was really cool, and I'm glad it worked out. And I think that it's a really cool. When I watch it, I get kind of like ready to play. I get amped up, and I've watched it about 5,000 times. So I think it turned out pretty well.
So let me ask a quick question before Harry comments. What do you have to do to get in a video like that? Because Harry and I have been doing this for 203 Wednesdays since 2005. We've been doing this.
You're going to make me put people on the spot here.
We're not the face guys. Evan, we're not the face guys.
It's really funny, though, because I thought about seeing about like how could I incorporate, like, could I maybe put Evan and Harry like in a little room with like a microphone, like podcasting, and be like, this is our North Texas, you know?
Dude, I would have just been back, and I would have been fine standing behind Cynthia's ear with like a thing of popcorn or something, you know, just anything, you know. Freaking 203 Wednesday nights for the past 15 years. Come on.
I know. You know, I thought about it. I was like, man, they might be pissed, and like, to be honest, like, that's one thing that you know, we had some alumni that we were. I guess we were trying to, it all did come together pretty kind of not last minute, but we changed some ideas around a little bit. Not the main idea, but the little bits and pieces of the idea. And then I was out of town for a lot of December, a lot of July, and the beginning of August. So I didn't actually get started on it until probably later than I probably should have. And then it's just a matter of just getting everything together. And but yeah, I mean, the GoMeanGreen.com Barbershop Podcast maybe should be recognized in the next intro video. And you know, if I have a chance to do it again, then maybe I'll incorporate you, Evan.
Well, if you would have put us in there, that would have been your last one, probably. No, I was all joking aside. That was amazing, and I looked around while it was being played, and people were just like glued to it. It was impactful, and then everybody like, oh. And then Joe Green comes up there, and then place goes nuts because, you know, everybody's always going to go nuts for him. It was pretty amazing, and I think that was an excellent start. So yeah, my hats off to you, Harry. What did you think?
Oh, it was awesome. And my only disappointment is before the podcast, I was explaining to Ashton how exciting it was there in the stadium, and you know, quite honestly, you know, the hair on the back of my arms were standing up, and I got so excited about it. It's one of those things where you want, it's like Ashton said, you want to get up and play the game, man. You're just like want to put the pads on and get out on the field. So it was really cool.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really neat
too. It was chilling.
Yeah. And I thought it was really neat too, that we had a fan, a tip of a hat to an actual fan, Firefighting Rick, who's iconic, you know, in North Texas lore, and is just, you know, super fan from way back when. And I thought that was a nice touch, because a lot of times, you know, we're heavy on the celebrities, which is great. And I mean, we're lucky to have them, but to have a little, you know, sort of thank you, shout out to one of the longtime fans, I thought was a classy move.
Yeah, no doubt. When they brought up Rick, I was like, oh wow, like that's cool that they're like, that was their idea. Like they gave me a list of people that we should hit up, and that they were going to try to reach out to. And I think that was really cool, because yeah, I mean, you know, if Rick was just Rick fan, and Rick, if you're listening, you know, if he was just like Rick the fan, then it might not have been as interesting to see the dude in the hat in Fort Worth, you know, kind of the stomping grounds, you know, down the street from where he works. You know, it was a good idea, and yeah. it made sense. And I liked how we incorporated Ashley Pickle, somebody who's, you know, she's gone on to be at Fox Sports Southwest now, so she's another alumni making us proud, doing the media stuff.
Well, she tweeted how proud she was, and she'd gotten feedback on it. I mean, that's really good.
Ashley's great. I love working with her. Always like talking on the sidelines. You know, she's the alumni that I think we are as well, the three of us in here, and a lot of our friends that like really just flat out like helping out North Texas. And she kept telling me, like, I mean, she was like, tell me where to be and I'll be there, you know, like, so she met us at Globe Life. Very cool that Ryan Peck and Jared Mosley actually reached out to, you know, we have like 7 alumni who work for the Rangers, and all those dudes, those 6 dudes you saw there, they were actually alumni that work for the Rangers. That's why we did it at Globe Life. And that's why we did it like that. And, you know, Chad Wynn, who was the voice of the This Is Our, and it expands to the huge empty Globe Life Park, which is kind of cool to be in a baseball stadium that's nobody else is in at the moment. And then, you know, Matty Walsh, who used to work for North Texas before he went on to the Rangers, is the guy saying Our Mean Green Country in the stands. I just think that's a nice little, like you know, just a like Harry said, a tip of the hat to the guys that you know, they know are good fans. You can't incorporate every fan. I know there's probably a lot of fans that are like pissed they weren't in it, and
Harry, we didn't make
lobby
the
to
cut.
be
We were
Harry
like
Myers.
page 8 or 9.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Oh
back
yeah,
there.
8 or 9. I
Yeah.
don't know, man. We had like 9 voices up there, but
But we were
I
page
was
8 or 9.
one of the things that when they told me the idea, I had a different thought about what we should do. And then we talked about some examples they had seen that they kind of wanted to take little itty bitty pieces from without totally copying, which we didn't. I think we did something very original, and I think that's really cool. It has a message, and then it has awesome highlights. What are you going to say? And really cool shots of Mason spinning a ball in slow motion, which are really fun to shoot. That's like just production joy for me to be able to like do those kind of shots. Gladiator shots is what we call them. And I think that I was really wanted to have Seth say this is home, because we had all these people saying that. I was really adamant to get Seth, which, coach's schedules during training camp isn't easy. And he was Seth, being as gracious as he always is, was like, yeah, let me tell me the time to be down there at Spirky, and let's get this knocked out, and knocked it out, and it was freaking awesome. And his I told him the next 3 days later, I was like, hey, that read you had where you said this is home was pretty profound and pretty awesome, and I just hope that someday you credit me for helping you do your on camera stuff.
You know what I thought of when I heard that? I got to say this or I'll forget. When he said that, it was almost like an emphasis of, I didn't go to Kansas State. I didn't take all these other jobs. I stayed. This is where I'm going to. So I was kind of hoping when he said that, it's almost like a statement to recruits and fans and everyone else that, hey, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere.
That's the idea. No,
So.
I hope that's what you took from it, because I wanted everybody to hear. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen in 8 months, 6 months, 3 months. I don't know, but Seth, I want to see, Mean Joe is Mean Joe, and having him in front of a statue, we could have ended it right there and said this is home, and it would have been just as great. But having him say Mean Green, because he's Mean Joe Green, and then having Seth give us that in front of Spirky, I just thought that was a really nice moment that actually turned out better than I thought it would, to be 100% honest with you. I didn't know if it was going to come off kind of cheesy. I thought it was really like, because that's the moment where you're like, oh God, like that's damn. And then you get the highlights, and my editor just did a fantastic job with the music, because he always does a great job with the music. So a big tip of the cap to Robbie. He's a stud, and I wouldn't do this stuff without him. He's a badass. And it turned out really well. I can go on and on about everything I liked about it. There were three highlight shots I really, really dug where we put him. If anybody caught BG, who I know hasn't played there right now, but he's got the Street Fighter 2 right on a hit of music that's like, and it was like, and it was just it's fun. Like those are like geek out fanboy moments. Like you get to give me like, Michael Bay action movie trailer song and like North Texas highlights in a stadium that holds like 31,000 people when we sell it out against Houston. I mean, that's pretty great. And I was honored that they had me do it. Ren gave me a big shout out on Twitter last night. Super cool moment for me. I can go on and on, but I'm glad everybody hopefully liked it, and go to the game and see it, because we're going to be playing it before every home game. So 5 more.
Excellent.
Cool.
Well,
Yeah.
now, so let's actually get to the game. It was a great start. Everybody was fired up. Just like Harry said, that intro, the band was out there playing. More fans, I think, had ever seen the band play before the game started. Harry talked about the hair on his arms. The hair on my back was standing up. It was really, people were excited as the game started. And I have to tell you, that was quite electrifying start. Just to see him go out there and dominate like that. That pass play, I don't know, how far was that thing?
Rico's, or talk about Pirtle's?
The
long one where Fine wound up, and I think that was Rico, wasn't it?
The flea flicker. Yeah, the flea flicker.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the first touchdown of the game. Talking about starting off, but yeah,
the
catch
first
was,
touchdown of the game wasn't how far. I mean, he just pretty much dominated right out there with the pass.
I mean, Pirtle was wide open. I mean, it was almost like a mix, a lost coverage or something. I mean, it was
Pirtle and Caleb Howe were just chilling,
just standing, walking down there. No one was covering him at all. It was crazy.
Well, then the second touchdown to Pirtle was great too because he was wide open again, and it was like, are they really going to cover Pirtle?
Yeah, there was some lost moments there, and then the double coverage flea flicker to Bussy was just amazing. I mean, I thought
the thing I loved most, and I was telling a buddy right after the game about this. I love how he got up and stood over the dude and kind of like just looked at him for like a second and then just walked away. Like, there's certain like I don't like certain showboating and like flexing when you sack somebody I think is crap. But when you do something that's like baller like that and then you just kind of look at them, like that's awesome. And Rico is pretty much a quiet assassin, doesn't say a whole lot, just goes out there, does his job really well. And he's a stud. I mean, man, I'm gonna miss that guy because you just throw the ball up. He has such underrated hands. I mean, he's so lightning fast. We all know that. But if you go back and look at it, I think he went under the guy. He went under the guy's arm, I think, with one hand, and then kind of yanked it away. And I don't know if he ever got his second arm there to grab it. So he kind of did that a lot with just one hand with two freaking dudes there.
Yeah.
And it was just.
Yeah, I mean, the pass shouldn't have been thrown, to be quite honest.
It didn't matter, Harry. Things were going so well.
I'm being realistic. You throw that pass against SMU, you're probably going to regret it.
But, man, I love it, though. Like, that's the like, hey, man, I trust you to not let this get intercepted. That's all. It's just like, I trust you. Don't let this get picked off.
It was Michael Irvin-esque. It was like, I'm taking this ball away from you for sure.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
It was legit. It was legit. It was a great play. I love the fact that he threw it. I love that Mason just said, screw it. And I mean, you got to take chances. I mean, take a chance like that. You're up 14-0. Like, screw it. Like, let's go,
Yeah. Well, and it all starts back with what everybody wanted to see was Mason Fine. He was 28 for 37, threw for 383 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Probably should have, the way some of those balls were caught, probably should have been more than 1 interception, just because there was some pretty amazing catches made and probably some risks taken. But Mason came out looking strong, and that first touchdown pass, he was wound up. He was excited. There was no doubt. The intensity, how excited he was. Now, he took a pretty good hit later on in the game, and everybody's like, oh, don't. He was over on the sidelines for a while, but I thought he had a great performance, and he was exciting to watch.
No doubt. I mean, I think as far as the expectations of this game against Abilene Christian, you can check the box off for Mason Fine. I mean, the guy had 4 touchdowns, almost 400 yards. As far as Mason Fine, the Heisman candidate, one of the top quarterbacks in the country, you can check that box from a performance standpoint off. I think where the disappointment may come in. Let's be honest. I mean, we went up 31-0 on these guys, and I think the disappointment comes in it's like you kind of took your foot off the gas a little bit after that. They allowed them to score way too many points. There were too many mistakes defensively that allowed big plays. So I think that's the only bad. It's not a bad taste, but just a little off on the meal. There is just the way that we didn't finish it. And I didn't just hear that myself. I heard that from Seth Luttrell in the press conference. I mean, I think after he reviewed everything, later in the, after the game into the week, he realized that, hey, there's some things here that we need to clean up heading into SMU.
So perfect. So before we talking about the defense, because I think everybody kind of felt as the game went on, there was some obvious glaring issues. We had an injury that everybody was nervous about on the side. We'll talk that in a second, but let's talk a little bit more about the offense because they seemed to have a great day. Talk about rushing. It was obvious that with the rushing game, we were spreading the love. Torrey had 11 carries for almost 100 yards. Easley had 9. Smith had 6. Of course, Mason had 6 himself. But, we spread it around fairly much. Torrey was obviously the one to go to, but Easley and Smith had quite a few carries as well. We were wondering what that stable was going to look like after a few comments made by Cobbs and some of the others. I know, Ashton, you kind of felt that we were pretty deep there as well. I thought it was a pretty balanced offense. The passes were amazing, but seeing those guys running and catch those breaks, it looks really good for the rest of the year on offense.
Yeah, I think that we are pretty deep in just, well, there were some things about the offense. Like, I think that the offensive line needed to clean up a few things, which they will. The thing about first game stuff, and this is why I don't like playing a cupcake opponent first game. I guess you can look at it two different ways. You want to have. I think that there's a mentality that walks into when you walk into a game like that where you're gonna win, you're heavily favored, you're probably gonna win, you're at home, all this stuff, and then you just take your foot off the gas, and like Harry said, you just do. The coaches don't want to, but the players sometimes will just do that, and it just kind of happens, and it's not ideal. The good thing is that they can clean it up for the big game next week against SMU. I think you're always going to have some bad moments at the first game of the season because you are knocking off a ton of rust. We're young on defense, so get those guys some experience. I am not crazy surprised that ACU was able to take advantage of a couple of missed tackles and just defensive lapses because it was just first game stuff that I think that they're probably going to clean up really well and get their mind right for SMU, to be honest. I think that that just kind of happens, and if you look back, I think on two of those touchdowns, it's a missed tackle. So one of the long runs on the sidelines on our sideline in the fourth quarter was just a missed tackle by a freshman. Wood had the guy and just didn't wrap him up with his legs, but he tripped him up, but he didn't. He kept his balance.
He was like a shoestring tackle, though. He was not taking a good angle. He's having to reach
true
out.
Freshman. He's a true freshman. Like, it's gonna happen. So, like, I'm not gonna take away anything bad from the first game, other than I wish Mason didn't take a few of the hits he took. But that's Mason for you. He's not going to slide sometimes, or he's going to hang in the pocket. He's going to wait till the last second, and he might get popped, but he gets right back up, and he's a boxer, and I love it. And but yeah, I'm not upset with the scoring. You don't want to get 31 at ACU, but it's first game. I like a lot of the things I saw. A lot of time to clean some stuff up before SMU, and at least they had stuff to clean up before SMU. Because that's the big one, and we all know how bad. I know that I can't stand him, and I want to beat the ever living crap out of him.
All right. So hold on. Let's keep talking about it.
I'd rather get everything kind of figured out after the game. The thing I don't like about playing the cupcake is sometimes I think you just kind of you use all those emotions and you don't take your foot off the gas because you're playing somebody kind of like last year with SMU, where the whole game we just kept going at it, and we just did not stop, and we just punished them. And I just wonder if we were playing a not so lower level team the first game had we not taken our foot off the gas mentally.
Well, you can talk about Iowa State and Northern Iowa, talking about the dangers of a cupcake component. That was
totally.
That was a very scary deal. All right, Tyreek Davis. Obviously, he's a linebacker. He's a guy that I think we really expect to be solid. He's injured. Do we know the status of him? I hadn't seen that.
No idea.
I don't. It didn't look really bad.
It looked bad enough that he was iced up and hobbling around on crutches.
But he was hobbled up with ice. He was hobbled up, or he was out because why put him back in that game?
No, I'm hoping that he's fine. I just wanted to make sure.
I don't know. I don't know.
Consensus was it was a concern.
I don't know anything about his injury. But I wasn't scared. I was talking to him on the sidelines at one point. I think he was just, he might have just gotten banged up, like a contusion or something like that. I don't really know though. So okay. I don't know. I hope we see him this weekend. And I guess I'd be a little bit surprised if we didn't. But I don't really know. It didn't seem like, he didn't come back in street clothes. He was still in his pads, his leg pads, and he's had his things come back up, his things. So he wasn't back on crutches crying.
Right.
He missed the second half. He missed the second half but he's back practicing is what I'm seeing here, and appears healthy. So it looks like he's going to be all right.
Yeah, I wasn't overly worried about that. Yeah, Tyreek's huge, man. He's part of that young, dynamic linebacking core that really just I hope that they were in the film room this weekend and really figuring out what they did wrong so they can clean it up for SMU, because we're going to need those guys. The entire defense. I mean, Sonny Dykes' team puts up yards and puts up points. So
yeah. All right. Before we move on to that game, I do want to take my hat off to Dion. Is it Dion Griffin? Dion Hare Griffin. Dion Griffin with a pretty amazing return that definitely energized the crowd, and he was all over it. So much the fact that every kickoff they made after that was a squib because they didn't want him anywhere near it.
Well, yeah, he almost took the first one back to the house, and the second time he took it, he took it, it took the length. But Dion's a really good kid, man. He's really fun to talk to. I've always really enjoyed him. He's really, really, really fast. We're talking probably top 3 or 4 on the team in terms of speed. The dude, and it's funny because P. Cobbs on Friday before the game, I was at practice getting some shots, and they were working on it. He was taking kicks back, and P. Cobbs looked at me and goes, "Man, if he just gets his technique down, he's gonna bust one because he's fast." And the first play, it's like, oh my God, he's about to take it to the house.
He averaged almost 79 yards a return. That's pretty amazing.
And then the second one, he gets touched like a little bit of the hip, the one you always get on the kick returns where the guy reaches out and you just kind of nope, get off me.
Yeah.
And he just ran through and and then he cuts back at the end. And I was really happy for that kid, man. It was cool that in the first half of the game we got Pirtle and Dion Hare Griffin scoring some touchdowns.
Yeah, 96 yards. Yeah, it was nice to see some different names.
Not Jalen Guyton, not Michael Lawrence, not Rico Bussey, other dudes. It was cool for them.
No, it is. All right, so let's move on. Harry, you know probably better than anybody else what we're up against this weekend. Every time we go to SMU, it seems like every time we go to SMU happens to be one of their good years or getting better years. The years they're really crappy, they seem to come to Denton, which I guess it's fine, but we always bring a great crowd, and I'm sure we'll have a great crowd there on on Saturday. But what are we looking at? What are we going to see out of this SMU team?
It's a totally different team. I know GoMeanGreen.com's tired of me. Harry, mellow out. You worry too much, but this team worries me a lot because they're so different. I think people think, well, we killed them last year. They couldn't be that much different. But when you got 17, 18, Division I transfers, I mean, that's just like a major overhaul of your roster. And the biggest one of all of them is the former Texas quarterback Shane Buechele. And I think, Buechele came out of high school. I think Vito had an article. He's one of the top 5 or 10 quarterbacks in the country, coming out of Arlington. So this is a really talented QB that, quite honestly, had some nice wins when he was playing at Texas. I just think he's got a Heisman guy that replaced him, and now he's at SMU. But that's, a big concern is going to be keeping Buechele. He's got a good arm. He's not a big guy, not a big runner, probably not as mobile as Fine in that particular regard, but he's very accurate. He started off really rough, against Arkansas State. He had an interception and they had a safety, and it wasn't looking good, but then he started to settle down, and I mean, he passed for 360 yards, 49, and no touchdowns, but a lot of efficiency. I think their offensive line is pretty big. I mean, our defensive line better come to play because these guys have some size and some depth, quite honestly. And then I think, receiver-wise, they've got some prolific receivers. James Prochet is the one. I think he's a guy that we remember from years past. He's probably their top guy. There's also a transfer named Reggie Roberson, who's got some size and some soft hands. Roberson had 11 receptions for 180 yards against Arkansas State. That's pretty impressive.
So we're looking at this week 2, playing probably the best quarterback we'll see the whole rest of the year.
No, the kid from Houston's better, right?
They're different. The guy from Houston, De'Eric, is
King.
more. Yeah, King. He's more of a runner. I mean, he can throw the ball, but he's a dangerous guy. He can really hurt you with his legs. So I would say, this is our toughest passing quarterback that we'll probably face this year. Yeah, I would say that, and I would say King's probably the better rusher of the two. But yeah, I think it's going to be a challenge. I think defensively they're improved. Again, transfers everywhere you turn around. In the secondary, there's a UCLA transfer. And then on special teams, we're talking about Deon Griffin. I mean, they've got a cat from a Notre Dame transfer that is their return guy, CJ Sanders. And he ran one back 98 yards for a touchdown. So, that's another concern that we didn't really have. Special teams against ACU was phenomenal. I mean, I thought we were really strong. So we need to keep that going against SMU.
Yeah, our field position during ACU was ridiculous. Special teams did a really great job there, I think. Biaggi was pretty happy when I talked to him a couple of days after the game. I think that yeah, man, I know people might get on to you and be like, hey, don't worry so much. Like, the only one I'm gonna really worry about is Buechele, because they do have they just inherited a really, really good quarterback.
Yeah.
And they got lucky with the quarterback lottery game that we're all playing now in college football, where the transfers and the transfer portal and everything like that, everybody's getting pissy when they don't get their job and they leave, and then they go, they go grad transfer somewhere or do whatever they can immediately. That means SMU lucked out, and good luck, whatever. But
do you think? I mean, were you a little surprised that they only beat Arkansas State by 7 points?
Well, Arkansas State's a good team.
They were favored. Arkansas State was favored. It was a home game for Arkansas State.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Arkansas State's and their coach just went through some really bad stuff too. So they had a lot of stuff they were playing for. It's either their coach or their head
coach. His wife died.
Anderson.
Yeah.
So I actually worked with that guy when I covered Southern Miss for a CBS show before Beyond the Green, when Fedora was there. That was Fedora's OC. And I also covered him at North Carolina with Fedora the next year. Dude is an awesome guy. Blake Anderson. Okay, sorry, I had to be right. Blake Anderson, super, super nice dude. Really, really sad to hear what happened to him. I know that the whole community there was a big Twitter following, and there was a lot of stuff going on. They had wristbands that were in honor of her and everything like that. Really, really. And I don't think it's his wife. I think it's his daughter.
No, it's his wife.
Oh, it was his wife?
Yeah, his wife passed away. He was not at the game. She
just recently.
This just happened. I mean, very sad,
something like that.
Tragic story, but she's been battling it for a while, and she finally succumbed to it. I want to say maybe like a week ago or something like that. But he was not on the sidelines during the game at all.
So they were playing with heavy hearts, and you know how that goes in sports, man. You rally, and sometimes it takes those moments to really strange things happen. So I think that Arkansas State was playing for a lot, and I think they really wanted to upset, or we've called an upset, whatever. They wanted to beat SMU. Arkansas State's just a good program, so I don't look at that like, oh, I'm surprised. I think SMU's same thing I was saying about first game stuff, man. There's a lot of stuff you got to clean up at the first game. Like you don't, right. None of it looks the way you want it to after the first game, and you don't know whether you can point it to the first game, and you're still not sure of who can do what because they're practicing against each other all summer, or if that's how we really are. So, there's a lot of things going on with that first game, but Buechele does worry me. I mean, he's a good quarterback. Bottom line, he's a good quarterback who has played a lot of really big time college football. He's
been under the pressure. There's no doubt.
Yeah, he's played, at the shootout. He's played, he's just played big games, and then he was in a competition that he handled really well for a while, and they were going back and forth, and he handled the change of coach and all this stuff. And so, the guy's been through a lot. He's seen a lot. I think he's one of those guys who, like Jalen Hurts, he's really out to prove something, and wants to, if Ellinger keeps taking hits and he has to go down this year, which he very well could, and Buechele standing upright in week 10, throwing for 300 a game, he's going to feel like he proved something to UT.
And he's only a junior, so we got to deal with him another year after this.
Maybe he'll do really well and then go to the pros.
No.
Well, he's already he's a junior?
Yeah, he's just a junior.
That's right. He had that thing. All right. So one of the other things I was going to ask you that kind of surprised me this weekend following the other teams around Conference USA, were you shocked that Army barely beat Rice 14-7?
The text chain I saw that day between us was great. I didn't even know. I didn't even know. Yeah.
Everybody was talking about the top teams that are playing for something, and Army was always listed in there as being this great. And I was kind of shocked at that 14-7 score. And, Army got that go ahead in the fourth quarter. So is Rice better than we thought, or is Army just not what they thought?
Man, Army's been really good the last couple of years, so I'd be shocked that they've fallen that far. But, that Rice hired he was an assistant at Stanford, I believe, and I'm forgetting his name now, but he's a really good coach. And, if you remember, there was a time, when the stand and all that, Rice had a good thing going there. So it wouldn't shock me to see them turn things around, even though it's been pretty bleak for them the last, couple of years. I can see them as a program in Conference USA that can build back up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be one to watch for this coming week. So we got a 6:00 kickoff this weekend in Dallas at SMU. It's going to be hot. It's going to be one of those 95 scorchers, and that stadium is so flat. We're going to be looking in, and not very tall. We're going to be looking into the sun till the sun goes down. It's just how
it's not only that it's flat; it's in the ground. It's like a pool. It goes into the ground, so there's no wind blowing. It gets really hot. It's a beautiful stadium, though.
Yeah, that place sucks. Screw that place.
To me, it looks.
It's funny. Like
it looks good on the outside.
Really, it is but it's a cool stadium to watch a game. I've always thought that's a cool place. It's intimate. I just it would be a lot cooler if we win that game.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Absolutely.
yeah, anything would be cooler, especially winning that. It would be nice to win that game heading into Cal, which is a new one for us, new territory. We're just not used to playing out that close to the Pacific Ocean. It's an exciting prospect. But SMU, a win against SMU, and you guys have said this before, that kind of sets the tone for the first part of the season, at least first half of the season. If we can beat SMU, we're feeling pretty good. And I'd rather beat SMU than Cal.
Hey, man, I hate that we have these games so early in the year because, golly, it does feel that way. Whatever team wins, you just head off to the rest of the schedule feeling good. And if you lose, it's like, man, I hate to say it, but there's going to be some people jumping ship. It's sad to say that. It has an impact on attendance. It has an impact on the way people follow the program. So I hate that, but it's just a reality of the business they're in.
Yeah.
Yeah. The weird thing about the game is that, the past 2 years we've played them. In 2017, we had one of our best seasons, just statistically, everything. And we lost to the SMU.
Yeah.
We lost that game of the season to SMU. And so it was, it just kind of, it's, and then 2016, obviously Seth's first game is against SMU. And I don't think anybody really thought we were going to win that game just because they were, they had some guys and we didn't know what to expect, and then Alec Morris didn't pan out.
But you know what?
Harry wanted to put in DeMarcus Smith.
As much as
they
that,
had that receiver that we couldn't.
Weird.
They had some receiver we couldn't guard. Remember that?
Cortland
Sutton.
Yes.
We got beat by a first-round draft pick. Cortland Sutton. And the funny thing is, in 2017, we lost to them at their house. Cortland torched us for 3 touchdowns. We went to the conference championship that year. So I would hope that everybody doesn't jump ship if we lose this game, because it doesn't mean that we're not going to have a successful season. But I know that I look back on a season differently if we beat SMU and if we don't beat SMU.
Well, yeah,
I just
exciting.
do. It has a different. Like last year really sucked that we didn't play for the conference championship and we lost a real bad one to ODU and UAB. But we beat SMU.
Right.
So that was
and that
cool.
carries a lot. But, You know what? I always go back to, you remember the game that we basically helped fire June Jones? I mean,
Yeah.
That was a miserable season too. So
that right there
Uh,
was so worth it. That was like,
man,
That was Max last season, wasn't it?
yeah.
no, that was 2014.
Oh, it was the year before.
Was it
Yeah.
that far back?
You sure?
Yeah,
I thought he
2014.
beat SMU and then came back. Maybe not. Okay, maybe
Well,
not.
his last full season was 2014,
Okay.
and
Okay.
we beat SM. We drubbed them 41-6.
Yeah, I remember. I remember
We
that.
scored on a Hail Mary at the end of the game.
I couldn't remember how
And John
great that was.
Spadani was going to kill somebody that they scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
And then we thought that, because remember we opened the year at UT, and then we played SMU.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, we got a chance to really make a statement to just play good at UT, which we didn't. And then we drubbed SMU. And I was like, oh, you know what? We're going to be fine.
Everything's okay.
Everything's okay. La Tech comes in the next week and drubs us.
That was bad.
So,
Yeah, that was good.
Okay, see you
All
guys
right,
later.
now hold on a second. I'm just got the music lightly playing in the background. So a lot of
Go Big
questions have
Green.
been asked. A lot of people are wondering. There was this whole, I don't want to say bait and switch, but there was a, hey, Beyond the Green movie highlights or game highlights.
Game rewind.
So tell us, Ashton, how this new format's going to work and what can people look forward to?
So if you go on meangreensports.com, you'll see an article, like a press release, so to speak, of the new format of what we're doing. We're not on Fox this season. And so, but this isn't a new idea. This is something that we've been talking about, being on the internet, being internet based for a little while now. And then, we're doing it this season. What is changing show format wise, is that the school internally, they're trying to expand their in-house content, and rightfully so. So they're making adjustments, they're making arrangements to bring in, more staff, allocate different resources here and there, bring in some people. They've been consulting me the entire time. They've been asking me my opinion on things, which again, I'm very grateful that they actually care what I think. And they're using the BTG model to do Beyond the Green type game rewinds, is what they're calling game rewind. And so it's a little bit different than how I used to do mine. This is definitely more, it's still behind the scenes access, so that's still the same. This is just, this is also giving the fans different angles and being able to like slow down some plays a little bit, showing you what happened, and that's different. And that's great. It works and it's good. And then what they're having me do is the thing that I think that a lot of people really enjoy is the special features, the stories, the E60 type stories, the storytelling stuff that is usually Act 1 of Beyond the Green. That kind of started having a role in its own, which I kind of really liked doing that, and then it would culminate with the game. So I'm doing those, but the cool thing is that we're doing all sports. So now during football season, you're pretty much just going to probably see football. If soccer hauls off and does something crazy, then we're gonna probably talk about it. But ultimately, the school is wanting to do more stuff in house, like many schools are doing. Create more of an internal department to do that stuff, and they're still bringing me in to do other things like the intro videos, which again, totally happy to do. I'm right there with them throughout this process. We've had multiple meetings about how it's going to go, who's going to do what, how's this going to work, all that stuff. So, we started talking about this back in February. I'm not going to lie. And then it really started becoming a real thing in July, when we really started to figure out exactly how we were going to do everything. They made a couple hires to people's staff. I love Matt Chiswick. They interviewed a bunch of people for that role. I told them I think Matt was the best candidate out of the ones that they sent me, their info and everything like that, and had me meet a couple of the guys. And Matt's an alumni, and I'm glad he's doing it because Matt's a guy that really cares, and he's a good dude to work with. So we'll be working together on some things a lot. They still ask my opinions. They still want to hear what I think, which is cool. So yeah, you're just gonna see. I think what they're repackaging it. You're still gonna get game stuff, and you're still gonna get feature stuff. What you're not gonna get is some of the in between stuff that we saw that might make some people angry. Some people won't really miss it. But that's just the nature of the beast. We're not going to do a massive, big old 30-minute show. Internet just doesn't work like that. So yeah, so we'll see. You'll see the first feature tomorrow. I think it's going to be released tomorrow afternoon, if I have that right.
Is it going to be? Let me ask Ashton. Is it going to be on the regular? Is it going to be part of like its own website, or I mean, its own YouTube kind of a release, or how's it going to be out there?
I believe I think we're still tweaking all this. So the first week might be different than the rest of the season. I'll keep everybody posted about that. But the first one will probably be like yesterday's. It won't have a press release attached to it, but it'll probably have a little blurb that I put together about what you're about to see. It'll be titled something. It'll obviously have a different feel to it because it's a feature, not a game. But at the same time, if something happens, like a UTSA game or like an FAU game or whatever, I can't say that I'm going to totally dismiss doing my own kind of behind the scenes look at what went down as well as a feature. So you might just get a full double dose of what it was like to be behind the scenes and what really went on. Maybe from the game standpoint, then maybe I'll do something where I elaborate what happened more internally. That might just be less game and more story while they've already done the game. So I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be cool. I think that I'm glad they're still doing stuff, not being on Fox. And I think this is the right step. And maybe we can, maybe we can find a way to do even more next year and make this more episodes across the season than the number we're at right now.
So basically what I'm hearing is you're sort of the Anderson Cooper of North Texas.
Sure. He's got no love for his podcast.
That's heavy praise. But I mean, I if anybody who I think knows me and has talked to me about the show, I think they know where my passion lies, and it's storytelling. I love telling North Texas sports stories. This is a gig that I think I'm super lucky to have. And I've got a great relationship with all the guys up there, Jared Wren, Hank Dickinson, Eric Capper, the guys I deal with on a regular basis in terms of media, Ryan Peck, and obviously the coaching staff. So I'm happy that they just didn't say, we're going to do everything in house. They wanted to keep me around. We found a way to do it. I'm grateful for that, rather than them just saying, hey, we're going to create a whole in-house department and we're going to do it all in-house like that. They still let me do my thing. And this is the thing that I want to be doing. It's like, if I can create an E60 show that is just North Texas sports stories, that's kind of my goal, so we'll see. Maybe this is the launching point for that.
Well, that's good, man. Well, we'll be looking forward to that segment this week. And, hey, I did want to add this in real quick. You guys can't see it, but it's on here. So it was whiteout this weekend for this game, right? And we had to have a whiteout shirt. Well, this was pretty much the athletic department trying to get more money because nobody had white, mean green shirts. Let's be honest. Everybody's got green shirts. They don't have really white shirts. So everybody needed to buy a white shirt. So my son needed a white shirt. So I went to my closet and found a 1994 homecoming shirt that I wore in college between McNeese State and UNT, and I sent you guys a picture of it, and I've got it posted right now up on the video. This is the one. This is the shirt he wore to the game, and it's actually still in good condition. And he did get some comments and some strange looks. The people in the stands were like, "That shirt's really 25 years or." How old is it now? Yeah, it's almost 25 years old, right?
Yeah.
Good grief. Sorry. I'm trying to think. Oh, no. Yeah, it is. Good grief.
Yeah, so, you're old, man.
Well, the other scary thing is the 1995 one. I also have my 1995 one, but it's 2 sizes larger because I got fat. So that's he can't wear that one because it won't fit him. But anyway, So we'll go ahead and end it there, guys. We're about 49 minutes in. Look forward to the segment, Ashton, for Beyond the Green, and look forward to the game against SMU. And let's hopefully next week we're talking about a victory over SMU on our way to the Cal game.
Sounds like a plan.
All right.
Yeah,
Go Mean Green.
I mean,
Go Mean Green.
go Mean Green.